Hey YouTube, it's Drew with Living History Comes Alive. You know, last year I put out probably one of our best viewed videos that I could ever do. It was the story of the Hatfields and the McCoy's and the feud that made legend. People have been demanding more and more information on the Hatfields and McCoy's.
I demand it, and right now.
I told you. So I decided to go back in and look and see if anything new can be put in the video for you. And I was amazed at the different things that I found that's happened in just the last couple years. So we're going to take another look at the legend of the Hatfields and McCoy's. And don't forget, this is video 5 of our scavenger hunt giveaway competition for 2021. Be looking for that scavenger hunt item somewhere here in the video. I think this one's a good one. So sit back and let's check into the most recent information we have on the feud that went down in history, the Hatfields and McCoy's, right here on Living History Comes Alive. Stay tuned.
Shortly after the Civil War and up until about the turn of the century, these mountains along the West Virginia-Kentucky border were home to the most famous feuding family of all times, the Hatfields and McCoy's. The leader of the Hatfield clan, Devil Anse, is my great-great-great-uncle. And this is where our story begins. Though many books have been written on the feud, Wolford, a local legend and great-nephew to Randolph McCoy, the patriarch of the McCoy clan, was the first to write an entire album of songs on the feud. I asked him how my uncle, William Anderson Hatfield, got his nickname, Devil Anse.
One, they said when he was a kid, he was devilish. You know, liked to carry on and play pretty rough at times. Then others say that during the Civil War, he had a nickname. They nicknamed him Devil Anse because he was a pretty tough character.
He was illiterate, but Devil Anse owned considerable land and ran a successful timber business. He and his wife Levice were busy raising 13 children. Life was good. Until one day in the fall of 1878, Randolph McCoy, who lived on the Kentucky side of the Tug Fork River, accused Floyd Hatfield, Devil Anse's cousin, of stealing some of his hogs. The case went to trial, and a jury of 6 Hatfields and 6 McCoys found Floyd Hatfield innocent. After that, tensions remained high among the two families. But not for John C. Hatfield and Roseanne McCoy. Despite their family's feud, the oldest son of Devil Anse and the daughter of Randolph McCoy fell in love. Roseanne, too afraid to go home, moved in with John C.'s family and became pregnant. But their fathers would not let the young couple marry. So Roseanne moved in with her aunt and gave birth to a baby girl who later died of measles. To make matters worse, John C. soon married Roseanne's 16-year-old cousin, and although it wasn't a bullet that killed her, Roseanne died of a broken heart just the same, while still in her 20s. Then, 2 years later, the fighting escalated into one of the bloodiest battles of the feud. It was a hot summer day back in August 1882, and it was election day here on Blackberry Creek. Unfortunately, the festivities turned tragic when my great-great-grandfather, Ellison Hatfield, and 3 McCoy brothers got into a heated argument. The McCoy brothers, armed with knives, stabbed Ellison more than 20 times and shot him. Bleeding profusely but still alive, they brought Ellison back here to this log cabin. Sarah McCoy pleaded with the Hatfields to spare her 3 sons. But Devil Anse had already made a promise.
If Ellison dies, I'm going to kill the McCoy boys.
2 days later, Ellison Hatfield died. That's when Devil Anse and his posse found the 3 McCoy brothers, brought them here, tied them to some bushes, blindfolded them, asked them if they had any final words, and then shot them in retaliation for his brother's death. It's well known that Devil Anse hid out on the 2nd floor of this old building here on Main Creek many nights to avoid capture. My late grandfather, Tom Chafin, and the nephew of Devil Anse recalled a visit to Devil Anse's home when he was just a boy. He remembered how Uncle Anse wouldn't even take a nap without assigning some of his sons to keep watch.
He would give them a rifle. They'd hold this rifle on their lap and would look out that window, and he would tell them, "Now, don't take your eye off from that window. You look out that window and watch, because your dad's going to take a nap, and I don't want to take a chance." And Aunt Vicey would get mad, and she would come out and say, "Anderson," she called him Anderson, "Anderson, why don't you go on in there and go to bed and sleep? Those McCoys are not coming all the way over here in Logan County to Island Creek."
There were several more battles, and as many as 15 lives lost in the feud, including 5 McCoy children. Some say Randolph McCoy, who spent his later years as a ferryboat captain, never quite recovered from the loss of so many children, and died in 1914 at the age of 88, a bitter man. But for Devil Anse, something dramatic happened that changed his life, and perhaps the lives of many generations to come. At the urging of his friend, preacher Dyke Garrett, Devil Anse, at the age of 72, went forward at a revival meeting and became a Christian. This photo from September 23, 1911, shows Devil Anse on the banks of the river that day, surrounded by quite a few witnesses. And for preacher Dyke Garrett, it was a baptism he'd been waiting his whole life to perform.
He had a little bit of bragging rights, and he would tell people that he was the man that baptized the devil.
I spoke with author and feud expert Keith Davis at the Hatfield Cemetery in Logan County, West Virginia, home to a life-size marble statue of the feud leader. He believes the baptism of Devil Anse not only helped officially end the feud, but had an impact on generations of Hatfields and other families throughout the region. According to friends and neighbors, Devil Anse spent the last 10 years of his life in peace, knowing that he was forgiven, his sins washed away in the cool mountain stream. His death from pneumonia in January 1921 at the age of 81 received much media attention, including an article in the New York Times. And his funeral was the largest ever held in Logan County, drawing several thousand people. They say some of the mourners even had the name McCoy.
Let me take him back to Kentucky with me, please.
Over time, the two families reconciled.
Hatfield McCoy Family Feud Special.
In 1979, in fact, they went on the game show Family Feud with a live pig on the stage, a nod to the hog who started it all. And next week, the annual Hatfield and McCoy Reunion Festival. Today, we Skyped with two of the organizers, David Hatfield and David McCoy. Really? I mean, nowhere in the back of your mind, you're not thinking to yourself, I don't trust these Hatfield people.
No, nowhere in the back of my mind. Absolutely not.
Hey, some of my best friends in school were McCoys.
Are you sure you're telling me the truth? You look a little nervous about this question.
No, not at all.
As one of them said today, if the Hatfields and McCoys can get along, anybody can.
What they're looking at is a pilot program pertaining to the Hatfield McCoys involving forensic science. And in that being said, they're going to be looking at DNA. They're doing DNA on Hatfield descendants and on McCoy descendants. We're going to the different sites, looking at DNA on artifacts, potential site locations. They're able to actually go in and pull DNA after they have DNA from Hatfield descendants or McCoy descendants. They can actually go into the ground or do DNA off an artifact or off a gun or something of that nature to make the connection that, yes, this fits that time period. This is part of the Hatfield-McCoy history.
Tomorrow is the 125th anniversary of a confrontation that ended America's most infamous family feud, the Hatfields and the McCoys. Researchers have now found the first physical remains of that final battle. Mark Strassman has an look at the evidence that could rewrite the history of these hillbilly clans.
In these East Kentucky hills, Bob Scott's family has owned this land, almost 50 acres, since 1902. It was the stage for a bloody chapter in American history that's also part of his family history, the Hatfield-McCoy feud.
My mother's maiden name was Hatfield. My grandfather's name was Valentine Hatfield, and his wife was Ethel Hatfield.
And yet this is McCoy.
This is McCoy property.
Randall McCoy, patriarch of the Kentucky clan, once lived here, and his well still sits on Bob Scott's land. His blood enemy was Devil Hance Hatfield, leader of the West Virginia clan. This spot is also where the families finally ended a generation of fussin', fightin', and killing, sparked by a murder right after the Civil War. This climactic battle came to life in a History Channel miniseries earlier this year starring Kevin Costner. The Hatfields, outside, opened fire on the McCoy family inside their cabin.
This was cold-blooded, middle of the night, ambush, killing women.
Randall McCoy escaped, but his son and daughter were shot down when they ran outside, and his beaten wife left for dead.
It was a turning point in the feud. Within 20 days, the Hatfields were under arrest, and the trials followed shortly thereafter. 23 years of this conflict, and then almost like a light switch, it's over.
Oh, I got a bullet! This past September, a team with the National Geographic Channel series Diggers used metal detectors to search the hillsides around Randall McCoy's homestead. They found 10 bullets from the New Year's Day massacre. The trajectory of the bullets led them to this spot near the McCoy well, and this find.
Burnt wood, square nail, McCoy house burnt down. Man, that's awesome.
They outlined the footprint of the McCoy cabin, and a team of state archaeologists began excavating.
Put that in your hand. You're holding a piece of American history.
Richardson and Scott showed us some of the 40 artifacts.
That rifle bullet makes contact with something, goes into the ground, stays there for 125 years.
Until today.
Until today. This is the thing that confirms everything else. This piece right here, this confirms, oh, it was the cabin.
Why is this find so significant?
We don't have any bullets that were fired at the OK Corral. We don't have a bullet that Jesse James fired. Think about it. Here you've got actual bullets fired during one of the most famous conflicts in American history.
125 years ago tomorrow, Bob Scott's Hatfield ancestors came calling, guns firing. As a Hatfield descendant, do you understand this feud today?
What?
Around here, them's fighting words.
On the shores of Blackberry Creek, in what was formerly known as Pikeville, now known as Pike County, a reconstructed version of the original cabin sits today, presented by the Pikeville-Pike County Tourism Commission. In 1873, Randall McCoy accused Floyd Hatfield of stealing one of his hogs. A trial followed. And hey, look at that, that's pretty. Presided over by Reverend Anderson Hatfield, Justice of the Peace, a fair trial was set up, consisted of 6 Hatfields and 6 McCoys. One witness, William Stanton, stated he had seen Floyd mark the hog's ear. This resulted in Floyd's acquittal. That's... Isn't that... What is... Holy... I guess the best way to see history is to relive it. Also, at this cabin was the Election Day fight of 1882. In August of 1882, an election was held near Jerry Hatfield's house, and a fight broke out between Tolbert McCoy and Elias Hatfield. McCoy's brothers joined in the fight, as did Ellison Hatfield, who was stabbed and shot. He later died in West Virginia. The McCoy boys were captured and killed after being tied to a pawpaw tree down on the creek. Both of these incidents occurred right here on this ground, and this cabin was built in remembrance of those incidents and the legend of the Hatfield and McCoy feud. Welcome back. Like I said, new information is being discovered all the time. Some things confirm history just the way it was written, and some things work in the opposite direction. But either way, we're getting the truth about what happened, when it happened, and where it happened. I was amazed to find this stuff out, and I sat in total awe watching it. But even history's not written in stone. There's always investigations to be done, and they're doing it. And I think it's absolutely amazing. I hope you guys found the scavenger hunt item in this video, video 5 of the scavenger hunt giveaway competition. And I hope you guys enjoyed the new information that's come up on the feud that made history, the Hatfields and McCoys. As always, I'd like to ask you guys to please like, share, subscribe, comment. Definitely, definitely. Ring that little bell. That way you'll know when new videos come up. And well, from time and time again, you never know what we're going to talk about. So until tomorrow, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. God bless you. God love you. We do. We'll see you on down the road.